Oh, nice.
It says it's recording.
Hey, Mike. Okay. It's recording. Audio sound. Static audio.
I don't know what to do about that. Was it better when I wasn't?
Do you think it's the computer? We could try with mine.
Using my hot now.
Oh, that's why. That's gonna be.
Oh, good idea. That's true. Hey, can everybody be quiet for a second? Sorry. For Zoom stuff. Okay, can you guys hear me? Okay. That's
Okay.
fucking awesome. Okay, that helped. All right. Just one more double check that we're recording. I'm sorry, everyone. This is more, I feel like a grandma, honestly. I like really empathize with my professors now.
Yeah, I know.
So Maya, you're gonna monitor the chat for us.
You're gonna stay for continue. You heading out?
Welcome, everyone. Look how
You
many.
did some messed up on there, dude.
I'm excited.
Like that read with
How many
the
people do we have in the
sense match. That was hype.
16.
That the
Oh, 15.
the
Oh.
bow from like
Someone
the
said,
far
"Fuck
range.
you." Well, as you probably know, my name is Claire and I'm the president.
And I'm Evan. I'm the vice president.
And today I like to think of as just kind of a smorgasbord of
I
like
just let him know that you're not.
what you probably don't know yet that you should know and that
Oh,
I
you're
never
recording?
got taught explicitly. Hey, Chris.
No, I was just walking where you were walking. Yeah.
So I think it would be best actually to start off really quickly. If anybody has any questions going into this presentation,
No, I was just saying.
feel free to shout them out.
Cameron. I
or
was
if
just
you're
gonna say if you're not
bashful.
gonna say for continue, let them know. So they won't put you on. Oh, okay, yeah.
Signed up for any productions or pitch parties. I'm really interested in working on them. How can I sign up for things now?
It's such a great question. It's in your email and the group me and the Instagram and the website, etc. Actually, probably best. So we sent out a newsletter on Sunday. Lovely Crystal did that, and she did it very well. And it has all of the information that producers gave me. So it's all the information I have. If you want to sign up.
Hey,
For auditions, for crew applications, etc. It's a little bit of a different process for each person. Most of the time, it's just like shooting someone an email and being like, hey, I'm interested. The other option is I made a page for every studio process script. It's on our website under
Okay, cool.
Get involved.
Studio process.
Did
you say one specific or just either?
I like to think it's intuitive, but I've been told otherwise. So, there's information there if you're looking for a specific one. But I'm always a fan of just reaching out if you're interested, like, that kind of thing. Hopefully producers will put their advertise their stuff in the group me. So if you're not in the group me, I know it can be, what's up?
Sorry, will you give her meeting capabilities or something? How do you do that?
Somebody needs to.
Hello.
I think I can just mute them. Done. Sorry about that. What was I talking about?
Signing up for things if you
Signing
haven't
up for
already.
yourself.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, check the group me, check the email, that kind of thing. It's on the website. So carolinafilmassociation.weebly.com. Unfortunately, I can't figure out how to make it Googleable. It just doesn't work. I tried. But that's the thing. If you go onto the website under contact, you can really easily sign up for our newsletter, sign up for our, it's just a link to the group me, the Instagram, the YouTube, everything you could need. Oh yeah, you should definitely put that down. Yeah, and write it up there for me. Jack, thank you. But that's really kind of the one-stop shop of all things CFA. I try really, really hard to keep it updated as best I can. Yeah. So do that. Yeah.
Also, we post the like a little consensus of the newsletter like every other Friday on the Instagram, and the Instagram also has the link to the website. So if you can't find the Instagram from the website or vice versa, go to the other one. But our Instagram is just carolina.film.association. If you don't already follow it, you should. I mean, we're all on social media, so just do it.
It would be helpful to us. It's always helpful to do things like follow and repost, etc. But it's also really helpful because like we post shit on there. Like we advertise things, especially kind of things that are last minute-ish. You know what I mean? So definitely follow us. Also, we post pictures and it's fun of like our past stuff. And it's fun. And Lizzie runs that and she's really good. And you can always DM us on Instagram. I see it almost immediately. And I usually respond almost immediately. And it's usually me. So yeah. Any other questions before we get started? No. Okay, cool. Michael Sparks entered the waiting room. My goodness. He came to terrorize us. Okay, let's get going. So this is the first thing, and it's a bummer, isn't it? But unfortunately, it's probably also the most important thing that we should all be aware of. I'm really proud to say that last year, before anyone was vaccinated, we had no known spread within CFA, and we had shoots. And it's because we were militant about wearing masks and being careful and getting tested, et cetera, et cetera. So obviously our policy is that we follow the university guidelines. If you're not aware of what those are by now, that's probably an issue. But masks must be worn indoors at all times, unless you are an actor who is actively in front of the camera and the camera is rolling. So I was an actor last year. I had my mask in my pocket the entire time. And as soon as they called cut, I would put my mask on. Something else that we did last year that was really helpful in the whole not giving everyone COVID thing was getting tested regularly. I know that it's not required if you're vaccinated, but it's really helpful. And it's something that you can do to make sure that you don't go to a shoot and give everyone COVID. Because if you do that, that will be really, really sad. And it'll obviously really derail your project. You know what I mean? It's against university standards to require vaccinations or to ask about your peers' vaccination status. So keep that in mind. That being said, you know, if you're not vaccinated, please get vaccinated. If you're not boosted, please get boosted. You know, I don't want our club to fall apart. And I also want you guys to be able to make your movies. And when you're on a set, you'll find out very quickly that you're standing close to people for long stretches of time. Something we also did last year is we double masked. And that, in my opinion, probably really helped. So that might be a good idea if you're planning on having a long, intense, small quarter, like tight quarters shoot. Last but not least, if I find out that you are not adhering to these guidelines, you will be disqualified. And I don't want to have to do that to you because we're all here to have fun. And I want to show your stuff at the final showcase. I want to give you awards. I don't want to have to police you. I don't think anybody will, but just good to say. So this is also all on the website. So if you forget, it's all there.
Yeah, we just, to add on to that, like filming indoors is going to be a little bit tricky, obviously. Dorms count as university buildings, so technically these rules also apply there. But, you know, porches and patios can replace most interior spaces in terms of telling a story. And you'll be outdoors with some free flowing air and be a lot safer for everyone. If you're going to be close quarters, we still suggest if you're outdoors to still wear a mask at least. But according to the university, if you're outdoors, You don't necessarily need to have one on at all times. But
Right. But we can still encourage you to wear a mask, even if you're outdoors. And producers, if you're here, I know you are, it's your job to make sure that that's happening on your set. So, fun things now.
Yeah, all right, cool. So we're gonna jump right in. A little bit of helpful vocabulary to kick us off. So a lot of people may have started auditions or will be starting auditions soon. Sides are going to be the kind of short little segments of the script that you're going to give actors and actresses who are going to be doing the roles and auditioning. We suggest picking portions of sides that are going to show kind of key parts of your script. Actually, you could probably speak better on this. You want to hit this one?
On sides?
What's a good side?
Yeah. I typically like to say a side is a page to 2 pages. Usually I would like it to be like a 2-sided, like there's 2 characters talking to one another so that you can have someone read. Like it doesn't get complicated with the conversation. And I like to just kind of pick something that I think shows me what I want to see, if that makes sense. Shows me if that person is going to say the lines in a way that I like, if they're going to make choices that I think are good, or like something that will show me how well someone can act.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So callbacks are going to be kind of after your preliminary auditions. These are the people who you like, but you want to see a little bit more. Callbacks are a good time to try kind of giving notes and seeing how a performer can kind of take like, hey, let's try doing this a different way. Because sometimes that can be really key if you need kind of someone who can be really flexible with a character and take notes well.
Mhm.
All right.
It's also good for love interests to call 2 people back at the same time and see if they have chemistry.
Yeah. Sorry. A shot list is going to be kind of a general, this is a little bit more on the cinematography side, but this is going to be planning everything you need. When you've got your scenes planned and your script set up, you kind of go through and you say like, all right, for this line, we're going to want a close up and then we're going to want a wide. And it's kind of creating a list that you can reference. We'll talk about that a little bit more. A call sheet, very similarly, is a way of organizing who is coming to a given shoot. These are call sheets that you'll generally send out to your casting crew, and we'll have an example one later, but they detail everything and everyone, where they need to be, what time, and it's just to keep communication open and clear, because the quickest way to get derailed is to not know what's going on, and it happens all the time. BTS, that is going to stand for behind the scenes footage and videos. We highly encourage everyone to get behind the scenes stuff because it's awesome to look at and we love sharing it. And it's also just super fun seeing what we're all doing behind the scenes.
Yeah, and it is sometimes a good idea to hire someone to come take pictures, or ask someone to come take pictures of your shoot and then send them to CFA. I'm going to put them on the website. I'm going to put them on the Instagram. The entire website right now is BTS shots. So
yeah, all right. So this slate that we're going to reference, this is apparently the cookie clacker everyone's seen before. If you haven't seen before, it's this thing.
the cookie clacker.
The cookie clacker, yeah. This is used to just kind of put key information at the start of your video clip so that when your editor is editing it, they don't have to watch the entire clip and guess which scene or shot it is. It will have all that information. It'll have the director, it'll have the shoot day, and it's just a really good way to stay organized. And if you don't have one, you can just announce it out loud, and then the editor can listen for it. And then coverage is another term we're going to use. Coverage refers to how you're filming a scene and how many different shots. If you're filming a scene with 2 people who are talking, your coverage would be a shot of one person, a shot of the other, and then a shot of both people. So that's a 3-point coverage. That might be something we'll talk about
later.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yep.
Okay, I thought I might have skipped something. This me? Cool. So just a couple notes on auditions. Some people have already had them. Some people, like me, are currently having them. And some people will have them in the future. So producers and directors must be present at auditions, and writers have the option if they wish. I love it when my writer comes to my auditions. It's very fun. They can be synchronous in person and online, or asynchronous online. I personally recommend, if you can, doing them in person synchronously. It's a little bit easier, but follow your dreams. This is definitely a follow your dreams kind of club. As we mentioned before, directors pick sides for actors to read. And then producers usually read opposite during the auditions so directors can watch. A few helpful tips for this, just kind of in general, and also if you're planning to audition for things, it's helpful to know what's going on. It's helpful to know what to expect there. So there's usually sign-up times on a Google spreadsheet. It's a good idea to be on time. Create a Facebook event, perhaps email your auditions, and maybe make an Instagram story advertising for those auditions. One thing that I would love for you guys to do is tag us in things, email us things. If you want us to share things, I will do it for you. You just have to ask, because I'm not gonna do it unless you ask. And then, as we mentioned before, oftentimes directors will opt to have callbacks for actors that really stood out. So that's what an audition is. That's what to expect in an audition, and that's how to hold an audition. Yeah.
All right, so jumping into planning, we're all going to want to hit the ground running as soon as you kind of get things going, especially after you get your cast or your crew all cast up. But planning is going to be super important, and it's really tedious, and we don't want to do it. But I really cannot stress how important it is to walk onto your set with a really solid idea of what your film is going to look like. Storyboarding is one of these things that can help. This is the process of just kind of planning and sketching each scene in your head as you see it. It's really key for visualizing and telling other people what it's going to look like. Your cinematographer or your director might have a crystal clear image in their mind of what the film is going to look like, but we can't read minds. So you need a way to convey that in a simple way. And we've all been there trying to describe what something looks like to someone else and just being completely unable to do it. You good on this side? Doesn't matter how good you are at drawing, is really useful for just conveying what you're thinking a shot will look like. I typically won't storyboard an entire film because some things are a little bit easier to understand. If you're filming, again, a scene with two people, then you'll understand you'll have a shot of one person and a shot of the other and maybe a wide shot. I just described that to you guys in 10 words. That was pretty easy. But if you're doing a shot, for example, this one up here is showing movement across a frame with a camera pan. That's super useful because you can see that the person's going to walk towards the camera, get real close, and then walk past. And they convey all that in like a single comic panel. Again, super useful, don't need any artistic skills, and just really good for sketching out. And it also kind of forces you to think about what your film is going to look like. Really useful. If you look up just storyboard examples online, there's templates you can use. You can print out frames that'll be like this, or you can just draw the boxes yourself. But it's really useful, and it puts you in that kind of visual mindset of planning what your film is going to look like. Yeah. All right, shot listing. I mentioned that earlier. So storyboarding is going to be the kind of visual understanding of that, but generally you're not going to bring your storyboards, or I guess you will bring your storyboards to set. Storyboards can be a little messy and they can be a little all over the place. A shot list is going to be a very clean way of organizing what is going on. And we do this I will generally do both kind of at the same time as I'm visualizing this. And it's a way of breaking down a scene into the given shots. And then this will allow you to schedule as you're shooting. So you can say at 10 a.m., we need to get the wide shot of the exterior field dawn, such as in this. It's a vampire film. Just want to clarify. For the gore.
We should have included a picture.
Oh yeah, we have all these great behind the scenes. Yes. But doing this allows us to know that on the first scene that we film, we're going to need 5 shots. And these are the shots we're going to need, the 180 pan, the close-up, the insert. And this, though, when we arrive to set, everybody knows what we're getting. And this is the easiest way to stay organized. And it will also make scheduling really easy, because if you do all of this and then you know that you have a scene that has 5 shots in it and a scene that has 30, you know which one's going to take longer, and you won't schedule the same amount of time for each. You kind of allow you to build your schedule out in a way that makes sense. Allows you to have time for everything. I would say one of the most difficult parts in planning is knowing how long a shoot is going to take. If you guys have any questions with that, reach out to us. All of us have had enough film experience that if you tell us what you're shooting, how many people are going to be in it, and what it's going to look like, we can give you an estimate of about how long it's going to take. And that is probably where I went the most wrong on my first few films, and that I would schedule an hour for something that took 3.
Yeah.
And once you do that, the rest of the day is shot. So if you've, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, just something that I always tell people and that I apply to myself is that I always tack on at least an hour more than I think I'm going to need, usually even more than that, to be honest, because it's so much nicer to be like, okay, you guys get to go home early, then you guys get to stay 2 hours over. Yeah.
Great.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, I'm all done.
Okay. So location scouting. It's really important that you do this, even if you think you know where you're going and what you're doing. Deciding where and when you'll be filming is important, but making sure you have access and permission to that place is very important. The cops have come many times and it's never fun. And sometimes that's a surprise. And even if you do your location scouting, but it's not fun, So when you're looking for places to film, make sure that the area is open and available for a film crew to work in. Consider sound, because that's something you might not think of otherwise. If you're filming right next to a construction zone, that's not going to work very well for you. Or just where there are a lot of cars or where there are a lot of people talking. That's something to keep in mind. And then be aware of what you're filming. So it's not a great idea to bring a prop weapon onto school property for your action film. Something else that I don't have on here, but that's super important, is like when you're considering your locations in a COVID world, like he said earlier, you might be able to use a porch instead of somewhere inside, using somewhere that has a lot of like openness and airflow, etc. Something else you might think about is lighting, what time you'll be shooting and what it's supposed to be, like what time of day. So if you're filming something outdoors and it's supposed to be at nighttime, or in the daytime, make sure that like where you are is going to be conducive, if that makes sense at all. Jack, I think you want to add something else?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like if you're ever filming with a prop weapon, especially if it's a prop gun, I have done that before, and the usual protocol is to call the police, Chapel Hill police, or campus police, or both, and tell them you're filming with a prop weapon and give them the location so people don't call the cops on you and say there's someone with a gun. Because then they'll come, then the police will come, and it won't just be like a get those kids off my lawn type. It'll be like
And same with fireworks or any loud noise. General good idea to let the police know.
Yeah, it's also, to share an anecdote, like one time I was filming on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere, and a cop came up and was like, "What are y'all doing?" And we were like, "Oh, we're just filming, whatever." He was like, "Yeah, you're like on a cop's front lawn and you're surrounded by you're just like, this is not the place that you should be." Like I'm surprised nobody's come out to you with a gun yet. And we were like, "Oh, okay, we'll skedaddle." So just, obviously that is not something that I would necessarily have foreseen, but it's still like something to think about when you're thinking about where you're filming.
Yeah, just like in general, even if you think it looks good for a shot, I don't know, we usually would ask some like a friend, if we can use like their front lawn, just so we know everyone's okay with it, especially because like people can look outside their windows and what the fuck are you guys doing until you get away because it's private property. So like in general, think of everyone that you can think of like to ask for locations before you just kind of like set up shop on the side of the road,
Moving on. Is this me again? Yeah. We talked about this a little bit, so I'm gonna skip over some of it. Just once again, a lot more time than you think you need. Make sure that you have a detailed schedule and a call sheet which I have a picture of, that you can share with your team. Because not everyone needs to be on set for every single second of a shoot. Directors, cinematographers, and producers do. But actors might only necessarily need to be there for a little bit of time. People might be able to show up late or leave early depending on what you're doing and how long you're setting up, et cetera, et cetera. Your costume person might come for the first 20 minutes and then leave, or your makeup person, whatever. Communication is always key, and call sheets make it easier. And I really recommend making a group me for your cast and crew so that you can communicate really easily if there are any changes or any whatever. But all the producers, you should have everybody's phone number in case of emergency. And another thing, like, make sure that people have time to eat, and they have time to eat outdoors or, by themselves or whatever, because of Omicron.
Yeah, so this is an example call sheet. This one's made using Google Slides or Google Sheets, I think. I use Google Sheets for all my organizing stuff because it's super easy to share, and just using the columns, like using it for shot listing, using it for anything. So in this example, Michael Sparks made this. He's here.
Is he in there?
If he is,
I don't know.
thank you, Michael. I still love your stuff. So you've got key information, where the shoot is, the nearest hospital. You've got kind of a layout. This is like a shot list inside of a call sheet because you can see what's happening, 40-minute or 35 minutes before the actors are called, the crew is there to set up. And we'll talk about that in a little bit more with scheduling later on. But your actors don't need to be there all the time. Yes.
Was the nearest hospital like just a safety precaution, or is that for the?
This is
No,
a
no.
safety precaution. This was not for the shoot. That is just like you have your location and you have your nearest hospital. Again, we're all students and most likely we're going to know everyone who's on our set. This is generally used for when you have people coming from all over to your film sets in the industry. But
Michael's using a very professional call sheet here.
Yeah. So then you've got your key information. Your start time is going to be the most important thing because that's when people need to know to be ready. And then you've also got your call times on that box to the right that's going to show you when people are arriving by person. Because it's just all about staying organized, and you don't want people showing up too early or too late. Late being the important one. So when everybody can look and say, okay, I know when I need to be there, it's super easy. And then this one doesn't have it, or I cut it out so we didn't expose everybody, but generally having some form of contact information on a call sheet is really useful if you get to set and someone isn't there. And super easy, go reference the call sheet. Somebody can send them a text and say, hey, where are you? Super helpful.
Yeah.
These are so important for staying organized. Because that's key number one.
Things fall apart pretty quickly if you're not prepared. At least not prepared enough. One thing actually that I didn't mention, and I probably should have earlier, when you're scheduling things and you perhaps want something at sunset or sunrise, like, be sure that you're planning that correctly, because that will go away very quickly. And you don't want to wake up at 5 a.m. and then miss it and then have to come back the next day. That's just like a random.
I was gonna say one more thing. So looking at these times, crew is called to set up at 5:15 p.m. That setup is going to be unpacking camera, unpacking lights, getting your location prepped, doing whatever you need to do. Then when the actors show up, you can see there's another gap of time before we start shooting. That is going to allow actors time to rehearse or get ready. You don't want to just throw somebody right on camera as soon as they walk in the door. And also time for, placing actors, make sure the camera is all set up, the lighting looks good. I would not schedule a shoot at 6 p.m. and plan to be filming at 6 p.m. You will need buffer time before.
Usually like 45 minutes.
Yeah, I think
At least
30 minutes to 2 hours is, I think, the longest setup time I've had. But it's super
But that's
important.
intense.
It was the whole thing. But
Don't expect that necessarily.
no, 45 minutes is a good baseline. I think you skipped one.
Did I?
You skipped two. 3. You skipped a lot.
What did I do?
You're going forwards.
What? Sorry. Sorry. Is this me?
Yeah.
Okay. Like I mentioned before, directors, cinematographers, and producers should be on set first and last. Kind of sucks, but it's also fun. You know, to be as efficient as possible, try to schedule your shoots with the crew you need for each scene. Not everyone necessarily at once. Technically, you could get by with only the camera, the sound off, and the director at a shoot. Do I recommend that? No. Could you technically do it? Yes.
I forgot what I was gonna say. All right. So crew is arriving. Again, the setup at the beginning is probably going to be the longest amount of setup time, as you'll be unpacking stuff. After that, when you're transitioning through scenes, it's pretty quick, you know, moving a light stand, moving a camera. But you want to just like set, I think we said like 30 minutes to an hour of setup time to make sure that everybody is there and the camera will be ready. So it's going to be cinematographer, director, but also, you know, production assistants, going to always helpful. Audio and producers are going to be ready 30 minutes to 2 hours. Again, that's why location scouting is important, because knowing your location and lighting needs beforehand is the easiest way to cut time on the setup. And also super important is considering travel time and transportation, especially for underclassmen. If you're living on like in dorms and do not have like a car, which I did not until I was a junior, it made transportation so difficult because people were trying to get rides. Trying to plan that out beforehand and having a group meet is super important. I can't tell you how many film sets I was on where at call time, everybody was at a different spot on campus and had just started walking. And we started 30 minutes late because of how long it took for everybody to walk. And I had to carry so much camera gear because I did not have a car. Get rides or figure out Ubers or figure out the bus schedule, but plan your transportation and consider where you'll be going for each shoot.
I'm just gonna brush over this, but you know, scheduling your talent so that they arrive when you're ready, that's important. It sucks being an actor and just sitting there waiting. Scheduling them as you need them, scheduling time for warm up, and make sure that you let actors go home when you don't need them anymore. Just be extra sure that you really don't need them anymore when you tell them to wrap.
All right. So we made it, we scheduled everything, everyone's there. Who runs the show? Director and producer are going to organize. They're going to kind of, you know, be the person with the clipboard who's deciding what is being shot when. And this is where it takes, you know, having a producer on set is super key to making sure that you stay on time. We will generally schedule time either for scenes or independently by shots. And that, you know, if we're filming scene 1, we got to make sure that we are done with scene 1 by 6:30, and then we'll have a 10-minute break, and then we'll move on to scene 2. And if you schedule it by shot, which can be a little tricky, but you know, anywhere between 10 and 15 minutes a shot generally, and having that and being able to like know exactly how close you are to being on your time mark is super useful for staying focused, and will make everything significantly easier. So again, communication, having that shot list, having that call sheet is going to make this much easier. This is also me. Okay, so again, this whole presentation is going to be a little bit of a whole bunch of information that we all have found useful that we're going to be sharing. So these are just going to be kind of conventions of being on a set. This is what people are going to do, and this is kind of things to know. Striking and saving. So when using film lights, we will kind of announce out loud. We'll say striking when we turn lights on and saving when turning them off. Okay, some people announce this, but
You should.
you should. And we do it because some of these lights are incredibly bright, and every person on this board has been staring directly into a film light when someone has turned it on, and it's horrible. It's completely blind for a little while. So striking and saving, it gets a little bit, you want to make sure people understand what you're saying, because it can also be backwards where you announce striking and everybody turns and looks at you right as you turn on the light. So you want to like make sure people know what you're saying, but this is a good tip. If you hear someone say striking, don't look at them. And also just like generally with lights, like if you have an actor who's sitting, don't turn on a light directly into their face, like, or at least warn them, like close your eyes or look away. Just lights are brutal and no one wants to be blinded right before having to act on camera. And then a slate, we talked about that. Slating is really important for kind of syncing your audio and your video and just staying organized, just announcing right before you kind of start a scene, just saying, this is scene 5, take 2, and then you clap. And that clap is a way of syncing your video and your audio if you're recording them separately, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But doing that every shot will make your editor's life so much easier. And as an editor, I'm begging you to do this. Announce all of your shots, slate all of your shots. It's super important and super useful.
Is this me?
Yeah.
Cool. Some other conventions that you should do. So before you start acting, you need to make sure that everything is ready to go. So you'll say camera rolling, and the person will say rolling. You'll say, I don't say sound speed.
Reset. Sound rolling?
Yeah.
Okay.
You check that the sound is rolling by saying sound rolling, because you don't want to just like start going and then the sound person's like, wait, I wasn't recording. That sucks. And I've definitely done it before. If a PA is slating the shot, you'll say like scene 5, take 1. The reason, did you already say the syncing thing?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. What?
Specifically, when you clap, it creates a loud noise, and when you're editing, you have your audio waveforms, and it creates a big spike, so you can manually line them up. That's just the science behind it.
Yeah. So that's really important to do. If you don't have the little clicky clacker, you can clap in front of it. Just make sure that it's loud enough to get that spike. Before, like, okay, so you got your camera rolling, you've got your sound CB, you've got this going. Then the director will tell everyone to settle, which means everyone needs to shut up and stop moving, be ready. And then the director will call action. The actors will do their little thing. When they're done, the director will call cut. And then everyone will turn off their, whatever, audio or whatever it is. Did I say that?
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's important if you're doing sound or if you're doing camera, to wait until the director says cut, because you may think that the scene is over, but maybe the director wants someone to go over it one more time. And so it's better for everyone if you just wait for someone to say cut before doing it yourself.
Yes, that's the point of saying cut. And hold. Yeah. Okay, that's a great.
There's a slide for that.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. Stop interjecting.
Oh my goodness, look at that. Yeah, so a hold, as my offered, is a really useful, this is kind of something that anyone can say, like camera, audio can say, director as well. This is not a cut, it's more of just kind of a, let's pause for a moment without cutting, because it's a big process to get everything rolling, and if everything gets rolling, and then you're filming on the side of a road and a car comes around the corner, you don't necessarily have to cut everything and then do the whole process again. Someone can just say, hold for car, and then everybody will wait, the car will go by, and then the director will announce action. A hold is just useful for, again, you want to make sure everyone's on the same page, because we've all been on sets where we let our own judgment kind of take over. And if you're doing audio and you hear a car, it's like, oh, we're done, and go ahead and stop the audio. If the camera's still rolling, and it can be a whole mess. So a hold is really useful. A reset is very similar. Often if you're doing something with a movement, like a camera movement, like a pan, a reset will just be to like everybody return to your start positions. And that sometimes resets happen without a cut being called. If you're filming like a scene of somebody like lighting a candle, you don't need to do a separate take for every time with the little movement. You can just say like light the candle and then reset, blow it out, and then light it again. And cheat is a term that sometimes like you will be told, like, will you cheat that object, or will you cheat back 2 steps? And this is used as a verb. This is when you change things on camera between shots, that if you have 2 people talking and you will film this, but then when you film my angle, I'm going to take a step back. Just on camera, it looks normal, but in reality, you're moving. So if somebody says something like, will you cheat backwards, that just means move, basically.
Just a touch.
just a titch. Audio, okay, yeah. So I mentioned audio and the importance of syncing. The importance of that is going to be a lot of the ways we will do this is we will record with our camera, and that'll be our image, and then we will use an external recorder. It's called third-party audio, and we'll record both separately. And the camera will record image and its own little onboard microphone, but that audio is not going to be very good because they're tiny little microphones that are built into the body. So then we will use a much higher quality microphone, often a shotgun. So you'll see those people who hold the big boom poles and they have the little audio recorder. And when you're doing those two things separately, that's where slating becomes super important, because you want to say, this is scene 5, take 1, and then audio will have that and video will have that. And you can bring both of those things into your editing software. And if you did your clap, you can manually line up that little big hit mark that'll show up on your waveform. Or if you're using Adobe Premiere or DaVinci Resolve or any modern software, they have an automatic thing where it will listen to your audio, and if it hears the same kind of pattern, it will automatically sync them up. So there's two ways you can do audio. Again, here our means are kind of little. We don't really have a lot. So sometimes you're not going to have an entire setup for audio, a boom pole, a shotgun microphone, an external recorder. They can be expensive. So an option, and this is what a lot of documentary filmmakers do, is having a shotgun microphone, which is a microphone that records in a straight line directly in front of it and a little bit to the sides, but primarily in a straight line, is having that shotgun microphone mounted onto your camera. Because generally, unless you're filming a super wide shot, your camera's going to be within 10 feet of somebody. Shotgun microphones are going to be best within 2 feet of an audio source. So if you're filming externally, you can use the boom pole and you can put a microphone just right as close as possible, as long as it's out of the camera frame. But you have an option to mount it on top of your camera, and it will be decent. It won't be the best audio quality, but it will be legible. And many, many films have been shot this way. And you could do that. And then if you're doing the external audio, you will record at the higher quality using a boom pole to get the microphone as close as possible to your actor or actress. And then later you can sync it up and it will sound wonderful. But those are 2 tips for audio, just something to consider when you're thinking about what you're going to need for making your film. There's a big difference between putting a microphone on the camera and having an external recorder. It doesn't sound like it's going to be that much. It's huge. We really recommend trying to get that microphone off camera if you can. I present these 2 options, but it is option A and option B when I say it like that.
Yeah, something that the former president Julia Stamey told me that I think is really true is, like, on these like amateur film sets, the thing that sets your film apart is going to be the audio. If you're watching a movie and it's beautiful, but the sound is horrible, you're going to watch the movie and be like, that sucked. And you watch, but if you watch a movie and the shot is okay, but it has nice crisp audio, you will look at that, like, you won't watch that and be like, wow, that was terrible. And if you ever watch a student movie, you will notice that. I've definitely watched my own things and been like, that was really bad. And the only like really not great thing was the audio. So getting nice, good, crisp, clear audio is probably in my opinion, is the best thing you can do to have a quality movie.
Yes.
Can you talk about slating at the end of the shot in case something messes up?
Yeah. So we talked about slating at the beginning. That's always very important. But sometimes the communication goes wrong. I've had like batteries die, or you misclick a button and you accidentally stop the recording. So if something happens and you think that something may have not, like your audio maybe you weren't recording when they announced the slate, you can, you don't have to interrupt. You can let the shot go, and then you can be like, hey, can we slate at the end? And before the director calls cut, they will say reslate, and then you will announce the slate again at the end, and then you will cut. And that's just to make sure that some people will do it at the beginning and the end to be extra safe. I don't know anyone who's done that, but you could if you were really careful. But I have slate at the end as well. Just calling a reslate is super useful, but generally, if something goes wrong, just announce it as soon as possible. If you're doing something that is difficult, nobody wants to do a whole thing and then have the audio person be like, oh, my bad, I wasn't recording. Can we redo that? Like,
Yeah.
Try to, like, if something goes wrong, even if you're in the middle of a shot, say something. The director would rather be interrupted than, and it's gonna be useless anyway if something's wrong. So that's kind of a good tip.
Is there a place that we could rent a food stick bowl food thing?
They have them.
Does the
I'm
MRC
pretty sure they have them at the Mercy.
the-
I'm pretty sure I checked
that
one out.
name change.
What used what?
The MRC.
The MRC,
But that's what it was
Called
when
now.
Is that the UL?
it's the
it's
undergraduate
at the
library. has
bottom
like
of
a
the
desk.
UL with them. They have like lighting and sound equipment.
check out stuff.
Yeah,
It-
but I don't know what it is.
I'm pretty sure if
It
you
was the
look up
MRC when we were young.
Design Center.
Media and design,
MDC.
yeah,
Nah.
that's a place. Other microphones. I don't think we have one. Like our equipment. I don't think we have one.
Student television.
We might. Yeah, if you befriend Student Television's new equipment manager, who's not me, maybe they'll let you use their stuff. No, we transitioned halfway through the semester now.
Oh, nice.
I have no power anymore.
That's
How does slating at the end of the media station?
Oh, so that mistake would only be if like someone, so when you slate, if something wasn't recording, like if you know, like I've had times where I've like said recording, but I hadn't actually pressed the button on my camera or it didn't like tape. And so I was like recording and then they slated and I was like, oh shoot, and then I pressed recording. Then we could do the thing, I could be like, hey, can we slate at the end just to make sure that we still got it? So it's a very specific scenario.
I've never actually done that, so.
You can also slate, when I slate at the end, it's more because something's happening and I don't want to take the time to slate at the beginning. So like if I'm filming and like a bird lands right behind the actors and I'm like, this is cool as hell. I would just be like, okay, camera sound roll. I would go with no slate and then I'd slate at the end, like after I've already gotten it and I don't want to like interrupt the shot right at the beginning. Also, usually when you slate at the end, this is just if you want to feel bougie and feel like you know what you're doing. You turn the slate upside down and clap it. They used to do that because when you would work with real film, you could see they would
It would distinguish.
just do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once again, I've actually never, I can't remember ever actually having done that. It's just good to know to do if you must, if that comes up. Let's get it going because we're taking a long
Oh, yeah.
time.
Okay, film and media. So if there's one thing you take away from this, please do not edit your films based off of the cards that you recorded them to. Most cameras take SD cards. Please take your footage off of them. They are not safe. They never will be safe, and they will die on you at the most inopportune times. We have had, it's usually one film a year that has a catastrophic data loss and loses part or all of their film. I think we got lucky last year and didn't have any,
Not
that
the
I
fucking
heard
would,
of.
dude.
but.
Please back up. Please
We
back
ta-
up
we
your
take
stuff.
this seriously. This is like the worst nightmare. When backing
I
up,
really don't
what
would.
I will do, if I'm filming a project, is I will film and I will not delete footage off of my cards. I will just fill them up as much as possible. And then every time I finish filming, I will move all of my stuff onto a separate hard drive. You have a computer that has a lot of storage, put it right on your desktop. I buy external hard drives. They can be expensive, but
Worth
they have
it.
saved my life. And yes.
But also, if you're a comm major on a media production track, you will have to buy a hard drive for class, so you're better off just buying one.
If you like doing this, having a hard drive is like number 2 on the, it's like 3, like computer, camera, hard drive. Like it's one of the main things you will need to buy. If you want any tips on which one to buy, I've bought many and can help. So you can always message me or just ask in the group chat and someone will give you a tip. But having a copy, having 2 existing copies of your footage is always a good idea, which is why I usually won't delete my cards unless I have to until a project is done. That way, if my hard drive fails, I still have the footage on my SD cards. Also, deleting footage on camera can sometimes be bad. Sometimes cameras will glitch and delete everything when you just want to delete one clip. That's another thing. When you're filming and you know a shot was bad, don't delete, just keep it. Like it's not worth trying to delete it in camera and accidentally deleting the wrong file. And also will just take time. I always say, like, if something was bad and you know it, we'll just deal with it later. Like, you can delete it off a hard drive, but don't try and delete it in camera. Yeah, fix it in fix it in post.
Can we just fix it in post?
Can we just fix it in post?
This whole PowerPoint?
Can we just blur out the whole background? Yeah. This is what I use to kind of organize my files. I will create this folder every time before I go into a film, and I'll put all my video footage in one, my audio footage in another. Because I work off of a hard drive, I save my project files to it. That way I can unplug my hard drive and I can hand it to Claire. And when she plugs it into her computer, she can edit the exact same thing without any issues. That's really good for sharing projects. If, say, you have somebody who wants to color grade it after your editor has edited the footage, if you hand off a hard drive, it's super easy and you don't have to worry about missing files or offline media or anything fun like that. Just in time. All
Oh
right.
no, it didn't. Hold on.
Did you,
It didn't because you edited it and then
it's not. It's this information is all I
Oh,
added to the slide.
well, too bad. I don't care. I know that wasn't like the sexiest information in the world, but yes, I know that that's not like the juicy part of filmmaking. But sorry. I know that's not the juicy part of filmmaking. However, so important. It's really so important. It's also things that we learned over 4 years, right?
did
So
not
we
get this
just
presentation.
condensed. Well, I didn't get this presentation ever. So I'm still learning things and I still don't know things. I'm still not, slating at the end or whatever, but refer back to this, use it for years, hopefully. I mean, I have no control over the website after I graduate, but keep it up. No, you're graduating. You keep it up. It's just a lot of things that can fall through the cracks, especially if you're a new producer and a new director and your whole team is new and you have no idea what you're doing. Lizzie.
Also, if you're an actor sitting here, like, why did I come to this? That's really talks about acting. Like, it did. You just might not have known that.
Yeah.
But one of the most important things about being an actor is that you need to know what's going on. Because, like, this is student film, right? Like, we can find, like, decent actors pretty much anywhere. But I'm far more likely to cast someone who knows to not stop acting until I say cut. Or
Yeah.
like, knows that if I say hold, they need to freeze exactly where they are. Like, there's little things like that this matters so much. So I really hope there isn't anyone in there who's an actor that's like, I shouldn't have come to this. Because like this, so valuable. Who knows?
Yeah.
You might decide you want to direct one year. Like that's what I did. You
Yeah.
get this.
Exactly. This is why we market it as kind of just like everything. It's because everyone should know this stuff. Even if it seemed like we were just talking about producers or just talking about sound designers or whatever. So you close the door. Thank you so much. So questions. Are there any questions?
Software or like computer? Software. So I should thank you. This is what I was gonna say. The university provides the full Adobe suite of software to all of us for free, which is worth anywhere between $500 and $800 a year. It's awesome. You get all the software for free. If you haven't, you go to UNC software acquisition, just Google that, or go Google UNC Adobe, and there's like a link, and you put in your email, and you act as if you're buying it, but it's free. And you go to like do a checkout thing, and they send you a link, and you get a free Adobe account, and that has Adobe Premiere Pro or Adobe Premiere CC, whatever they're going by now, which is a super powerful nonlinear video editing system.
Isn't it worth like several $100s?
Yeah, no, it's like
not a lot.
it's like $85 a
free.
month for like the whole suite, and we get it
But it's for
completely free. And like Premiere Pro, Deadpool was edited on Premiere Pro. So like it's not quite the industry standard, but it's becoming the industry standard. The industry standard is a program called Avid that's super complicated because why not? But Premiere Pro is super easy to learn. There's a ton of tutorials. We also get LinkedIn learning tutorials for free. Those are worth money. I don't know how much. There's a Premiere Pro training course that is, I want to say it's between 10 and 20 hours long. To say that's a lot of information to learn. It's broken up into episodes. You can say, I want to learn how to edit my audio. They have a whole episode. It's probably gonna be about 2 hours long. Super useful information. It's to the point. It's easy to follow. And if you complete it, it puts a nice little certificate on your LinkedIn account that says, I know Premiere, like can confirm. And I've gotten recruiters reaching out to me through LinkedIn because I have passed the like LinkedIn assessment for Premiere Pro. Like, oh, like you have this assessment, you could be good for a video editing job. Do it. It's worth it. It's also not that long. It's like 6 to 8 hours. I'm being dramatic, but also I've had 3 classes now that have required I take that course, and I took it once, and now I just send them the same screenshot 3 times. If you go into the journalism or the media production program, you'll probably have to do that tutorial at some point, or the photography one, or the design one. It's all there. It's all open.
Before I say something, I just want to like the showcase is on the 21st. Films are due on April 1st at 11:59. This stuff is in there's a Google Calendar that I created that you can share with yourself. It's on the website. You just go under contact, Google Calendar, you press it, and it shares it with your Gmail. And you can have out like stuff that I put in our calendar, like workshops and important dates in there. But the showcase will be on the 21st. I don't know where yet.
Does it make sense to hire production assistants without knowing exactly what they're going to do? Let's
Yes.
say you already have a
Yes,
film
yes,
operator,
yes,
you
yes,
just
yes.
want more people
Yeah.
on set.
Production assistants do anything. This is gonna make it sound really appealing. I have like sat and held a big reflector to bounce light onto somebody, and that was all I did. But I learned a lot and I
It's
made a lot
fun.
of friends. It is fun. You get to hold the reflector.
PAs, I'm gonna hire like, I don't know, 5. Basically anybody who tells me they want to be a PA can be a PA.
It's the best way to be on set because
You
you
just get to chill.
will do everything and you'll learn everything. You'll pick up everything. And we are highly recommended. If any of you guys end up on a set that I'm on, ask me questions, please. I love talking and I love
Ask
talking about this
people.
stuff. As a production assistant, like that is a role where you are 1, super valuable to the production, and 2, in like the best learning role because your hands will be on everything. Yeah, Jet.
PA role is also really nice because you aren't a necessary member of the crew. So if you're like, hey guys, can't come today, I'm doing other things with my life, no one's gonna get pissed.
Horrible.
Well,
Yeah.
I am not, that's wrong. Don't listen to him.
It's a less commitment than a director.
It is certainly less commitment. It is a dick move to text someone on the day of and be like, I'm doing other things, sorry.
Well, yeah, but you just like, you might.
It's a less
you don't have to
stressful-
be there every day.
It's a less stressful
Like, there's
role if
5
you're new.
PAs.
Let me
Yeah.
rephrase. If you're looking at the shoot dates for the film and you think I can only make maybe 3 out of 5 of these or whatever, that's okay. So
Yes.
if you can't fully commit to it, you still want to be a part of it. Yeah, it's a good.
Sorry. I know, I understand what you meant. And that's true. PA is a lesser commitment. Other questions? Okay, so
Everybody's ready.
no questions. We're ready to rock. Everyone pull out your camera right now. Well, what is an average amount of shoot days? That's a wonderful question, and it depends greatly. So for example, the film that I'm doing, which is Lost, we're currently having auditions. And crew applications are open. If you would like to be on my crew, please apply. Because I'll hire anyone. I don't care. Everyone can join. We're planning on doing like a weekend where we shoot all day, every day, basically. Well, okay, that's an exaggeration, but not really. Basically, the whole weekend will be taken up. I've done that for most of the ones that I produce because I find that it's better. It's better for continuity, and it's also just better for scheduling. However, not everybody does that. I've been on films where they did like a couple hours every single week. It was a lot longer of a process, but no.
Claire said one of the most important words that we both completely forgot to add into that. Continuity is so important.
Oh my God.
I can't believe we forgot this.
Makes it empowered.
Well, yeah, continuity is just making sure that every scene looks like it is following one another and that it all happens in a normal time. If you are filming on 2 weekends that are back to back and your main lead character gets a massive haircut and shaves all their hair off right between those 2 shoot days, that's gonna be
fucked.
real tricky
You're
to
fucked.
edit that back in. Yeah, no. So continuity is really important. And that's why with like student film, we don't have a lot of control over stuff like that. So trying to do it in either scheduling it. So if you have a film where things take place over a couple of days, trying to film a 1 day in the film in 1 day will be as realistic as possible because it will be accurate. Also with like costumes and stuff, like you never know, someone could still make a horrible stain on their unique shirt, and then what are you gonna do? You lost an entire day. So continuity is super important, both long-term and thinking shot to shot. Just to tack that on at the end there.
If you're an actor, don't cut your hair without permission. Don't pierce your nose. Don't, when COVID hit and then we had to like restart a bunch of our shoots, continuity was really difficult. As you can imagine, we actually made it work for the most part, but
It's really funny. I'm breaking.
yeah, that was funny. That was funny. You should watch Breaking Up if you haven't seen it. That's a good example where there was not continuity, and then he had blue hair and it was shorter. But it was funny. It was fine. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna. Oh, read it out. Yeah. It's important to consider how long your script is. Give yourself extra time, and also allow for reshoot days if you think you may need them, or if you don't think you may need them. It's not a great time. It's not great to shoot like mid-March, when films are due April 1st. Because you won't have time to edit, obviously, but you also won't have time to reshoot,
Leave time to edit, because editors have the fun job of not really. Also, if you're an editor, I suggest being a PA so that you can be there on set. And if no one else wants to do the slate, but it's going to make your job easier, sign up for that. Like, it's super easy. Also, you get to meet everybody. Give your editors time. Don't give them a week. That's just cruel. Also, if you're filming over a period of time, most editors would like the footage as you film it. There's no need to sit and let your just files gather dust until you're done with everything and just drop it off. Give your editor what you have, so they can be working on it as you're going. And this is really helpful for reshoot days, because if your editor looks and goes, dude, this is totally unusable, you have to reshoot this, better to know, 5 days after you shot it than March 30th, 31st, whatever the month is. Yeah, think about your time frame, and give time. I'd say give minimum 2 weeks to edit. I also say that knowing that I have filmed on the day before it was due. So
Have you really?
I'm pretty sure.
Good Lord. Don't do that.
I've been editing the day it was due. 100%.
Oh, everyone's.
Everybody does that. And I've been filming pretty close to it.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. If you have questions, first of all, we're going to stand up here. If you want to talk to us individually, happy to. You can always text me. You can always email me. You can always group me, message me. I just recommend that before you ask a question, use the search function on the group me, check out the website. It's often there. Because our group me does have 450 people in it. But at the same time, if you can't find the answer to your question, throw it in the group me, because then everybody gets to learn. Excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's my DP. Yeah.
Do that
So if you want
You'll
to
find
work
And yours.
with Evan and me,
and his.
you
and
should
his, and yours.
How many are
you should sign up.
All of yours.
all of it?
Like this side of the room, I'm doing all of their films.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Love you.
This is what happens when you work with people for a
That was
while.
meaty.
Like
I know, that was
first
a good
year
one.
is find your squad now, because they're gonna be
Because we've been working together for.
since, yeah, we've been
yeah.
working together for like 4 years, so.
However, I do want to emphasize that we all love having new people on our sets. I've said this a million times, not to keep plugging myself, but also to keep plugging myself. I really want to hire new people. I really want to hire young people who don't know what they're doing, because I can teach you and Evan can teach you and we can teach you. And I'm sure that you guys can agree with me here that we want, don't feel weird that you're a freshman and you've never done this before.
Kind of plug to PA. I was only a PA in a producer last year, and I've learned what?
You learn so much. You learn so much.
Oh, no, but you think it would be like too much to do?
No.
I'm doing 5 films.
Me too.
Don't do that.
Well,
Don't do that. It's, I mean,
if you want to do that,
Depends
do
on
that.
roles. Like-
Like 3 or 4 is a little
You
more.
will, you'll
manageable.
probably end up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sign up.
it's,
Whatever.
yeah, and
I'll
like, it
figure it
depends
out.
on the roles. Like I said, production assistant
I'm
roles,
currently
you
in-
don't have to be at every shoot. Like, if you're being a cinematographer, like, at the end of the day, even if bad things happen, the cinematographer has to be there for every second of the film. Like, there's just no way around it. So that role is intensive, and so is directing, and so is producing. Other roles, I mean, often like sound also doesn't have to be one person. Usually a different person will do sound at every shoot, depending on who's available.
Mhm.
So like, you don't have to cast one sound engineer. That can be kind of a production assistant thing, as you can teach people how to do it.
Yeah, sounds easy to learn.
So being a production assistant, do as many films as you want.
Can,
But I
yeah.
would be careful about over promising, because it does suck to cancel for everyone involved. This is a general tip, but get involved, do it all.
Yeah, especially because, because we're all shooting in the same time frame, it can get really hard to schedule yourselves, and also all your weekends will be gone. So that's
Yeah.
like the main concern.
No
But
weekends.
that could be fun. I
fun.
like not having free time personally.
If it says anything, we've all been doing it for 4 years and we're still doing it. So it's not like that terrible. It didn't burn any of us out. Yeah.
This is what keeps me, honestly, this is what keeps me going in college.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in class. I want to graduate, but I also don't want to graduate because I want to be on set.
We're 15 minutes over.
Oops, really?
Bye.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, we're not. It was, we have until 9:30. We're fine. I mean, we should
I
stop,
meant
but
to room, I meant to-
yeah. Well, yeah,
We won't
I
keep you
mean,
guys any longer. Thank you so much for coming. Again, we will be up here if you want to talk to us. Thank you.
Great
And
job.
good luck on your film.
Great
Yeah.
job. And if I had that my freshman year.
Lost is about Maya.
Maybe we
You
will
summarize
year
Lost.
away after our first film experience.
I already decided on what to do.
email me. Sign up. Wait, did you? Yeah?
Huh?
Never mind.
I don't think I-
Anna. Where did Anna go? She just.